Good morning and welcome to Creative Arts News. I'm Janaea and today we have a very special segment on our newest and most inspiring unit, Our Voices, Our Story. This unit explores how students can express their unique identities through dance, drama, music, and visual arts, and it celebrates the rich cultural and learning diversity in our school community. Let's head to Sarah, who lives from the classroom with more on the learning context.
Thanks, Shania. The context for this exciting unit is a Stage 3 classroom in a vibrant primary school community. Our class includes students from many different cultural backgrounds, from Indigenous communities to international families, creating a rich, inclusive learning environment. But it's not just cultural diversity that makes this class special. We also have a wide range of learning needs and styles. Some students speak multiple languages, while others may need extra support with reading, writing, or communicating their ideas. This unit is designed with everyone in mind. It's flexible, creative, and gives all students the chance to share their stories in meaningful ways. Back to you, Janaea.
Powerful stuff, Sarah. Let's now go to Abby, who has the inside scoop on how this unit fits into the school day and what students can expect each week.
Thanks, Janaea. The Our Voices, Our Story unit runs for 9 weeks with an hour and a half creative arts lessons each week during the middle session. But it doesn't stop there. Students will also use the skills they learn across other KLAs. For example, drama skills will support creative writing and music rhythms will enhance reading fluency. Each week builds on the last. We start with visual arts to help students ease into creative expression. Then we explore drama, music, and finish with dance, building confidence and collaboration along the way. The final week is all about reflection, where students share their creative journeys.
Thanks, Abby. Sounds like a well-structured and thoughtful journey. And speaking of journeys, let's go to Jess to find out how the theme of the unit, Our Voices, Our Stories, came to be.
Absolutely, Janaea. Our theme was carefully chosen to reflect the incredible cultural mix in our class. Our Voices, Our Story invites students to explore their identity, their heritage, and their personal experience through the arts. We made sure the theme was relevant by involving the students in every step of the way, through discussions, surveys, one-on-one chats, and feedback sessions. The result? A unit that makes every student feel seen, heard, and celebrated.
That's what creative arts is all about: connection, expression, and celebration. As the unit continues, we'll be exploring 4 key lessons, one in each art form, where students create, perform, and reflect. We'll also use rubrics, checklists, and feedback forms to track progress and celebrate growth. We're excited to see how this unit empowers students to share who they are, where they come from, and what matters to them.
Now we are going to dive into the details of each lesson in the unit. Let's explore what outcomes will be assessed, the activities in each lesson, assessment strategies, and resources that we will need. Starting us strong with visual arts. Let's go.
In our first visual arts lesson, students explore the idea of culture through collages. We begin by showing student artworks of contemporary artists such as Christian Thompson and Carla Dickens, who use art to express cultural identity, as well as artists who use images, fabric, and found objects to present family, place, and tradition.
We follow this by having a class discussion about what culture means. Students reflect on their own backgrounds, thinking about family, language, food, and even celebrations. And then use mixed media like drawings, magazines, fabrics, and words to create a personal cultural collage.
The focus here is on visual storytelling. Students are encouraged to be expressive and personal. We finished with a gallery walk where students respectfully view and discuss each other's work. This promotes cultural appreciation, connection, and a sense of pride in identity.
Wow, this sounds amazing. Abby, can you give us an insight into assessments and resources?
Sure thing, Janaea. For assessment, we use anecdotal records to track how students engage in the discussion and express their understanding of culture and identity through their collage. The resources for this lesson include images of cultural collage artworks, magazines, fabric scraps, coloured paper, glue, scissors, markers, and A3 backing paper for each student.
Amazing. I can't wait to see this unfold. Let's dive into lesson 2.
In lesson 2, we move into printmaking and symbolism. Students begin by looking at prints from various cultures, like Aboriginal art, African textiles, or Japanese monograms, and discuss how artists use symbols to tell stories. Each student then chooses a symbol, either from their own culture or one they've learned about respectfully. They sketch the symbol, transfer it onto foam, and use ink or paint to make a series of prints.
I'm so excited about this lesson, Jess. Looking into the lesson further, we deepen connection into culture by getting students to write 1 or 2 sentences explaining the meaning of their symbol. They then pair up and share their work, helping to build understanding of both their own story and their peers' perspectives.
Ladies, this sounds incredible. Abby, what is an insight into assessment and resources?
For this lesson, assessment is done using a teacher checklist. We look at each student's symbol choice, how they followed the printmaking process, and the clarity of their written explanation. Resources include cultural symbol reference images, foam printing sheets, pencils, ink or paint, paper, aprons, table covers, and a print display sheet that includes space for each student's statement.
What an incredible start to the unit. Students will be so motivated to learn from their peers and teachers. I can't believe this is only the beginning. Let's roll into our drama component, shall we? Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Janaea. Here is the exclusive rundown to our first drama lesson. In Lesson 1, our focus is on introducing students to the dramatic elements through movement and cultural storytelling. We start with a physical warm-up where students explore emotions like happiness, sadness, or excitement using body language and facial expressions. As they move through the space and freeze in dramatic poses, they are already starting to experiment with role, space, and focus. From there, students are introduced to cultural stories from around the world. We use these stories as a foundation for our next activity, a tableau. Our frozen scene. In small groups, students select a story card and create a key moment using their bodies, exploring power dynamics, emotional distance, and relationships through space and movement. Students then animate their tableau, creating a short scene that uses transitions and movements to express meaning. They're guided to use tension, for example, a dramatic pause or movement of conflict, to keep the audience engaged. After performing, the class gives feedback focused on how well movement and space communicated the story.
Sarah, can you offer us an insight of how assessment will be conducted and what resources we need to be able to facilitate this lesson?
Of course, Janaea. For assessment in this lesson, we gather peer and teacher feedback. We observe and assess creativity on how well students use dramatic elements like space, role, movement, tension, and focus to convey meaning. We also ask students to submit a brief reflection on their understanding of the cultural context they performed and how movement and dramatic elements help tell the story. The resources included for this lesson were a word music playlist such as African drums, Chinese traditional instruments, Latin rhythms to set the mood, open space for exercise, fabric pieces or scarves for props, cultural story cards for selecting stories, space makers for our tableau, and whiteboard projectors for reflection prompts.
Wow, thanks, Sarah. What an incredible drama lesson. I can't wait to hear about Lesson 2.
Exactly right, Abby. Next up, students receive a cultural scenario card. These could be based on Aboriginal dream home stories, a Greek myth, or another cultural narrative. They work in groups to improvise a short scene focusing on expressing character emotions and relationships through movement, focus, and tension. Once they've tried out their improvisation, each group refines their scene. This is where students really dig into time, speeding up action scenes or slowing down meaningful moments. Students are also encouraged to reflect cultural meaning by using symbolic movements or shaping the stage space to reflect tradition or ritual.
The final performance includes a quick written or spoken explanation of what their chosen symbol or story represents. After the performances, we hold a full class debrief where students reflect on how dramatic elements helped express their cultural story. These moments build a stronger understanding of both drama as a form and culture as a context for creative expression.
This is unreal. Now, as always, we cannot forget about assessment and resources, can we, Sarah?
Most definitely not, Janaea. A unit wouldn't exist without them. For assessment in this lesson, we evaluate the use of dramatic elements in the group performances. We focused on creativity, the use of space, role, movement, time, tension, and focus to convey meaning. Peer feedback will also play a part, as students will provide feedback to other groups as to see how well they use dramatic elements and cultural context in their improvisation. The resources in this lesson include improvisation warm-up cards, cultural music, cultural scenario cards, simple props, adequate rehearsal space, a time or a clock, reflection prompt cards, whiteboards and projectors, and peer feedback sheets.
Wow, what a strong start to our drama component. Such great detail and insight to what should be included in a creative arts unit when exploring drama in stage 3. Let's get into music.
Welcome to Lesson 1, everyone. We are diving straight into the exciting world of music in the classroom. This lesson is all about listening and exploring. Students will begin by engaging with various pieces of music from diverse cultures. Using online platforms such as YouTube, Google, students will independently explore different music traditions. This will help them become familiar with the wide variety of sounds, rhythms, and instruments that are used across different cultures. It's a fun and engaging way to build cultural awareness and music appreciation from the very beginning.
After this initial exploration, we'll bring everyone back together for a whole class discussion. Students will be encouraged to share what they discovered during their listening time, what stood out to them, what instruments they think were used, and what emotions or images the music evoked. This introduces our focus on tone, colour. One of the key elements of music, tone colour or timbre, refers to the unique quality of sound that distinguishes one instrument or voice from another. As a class, we'll compile a shared list of instruments and sounds students identified in the various cultural pieces. This activity will encourage careful listening and peer learning. Next, students will move into a creative space using GarageBand on their iPads. They'll use the digital instruments available to recreate or be inspired by the sounds that they just heard. This is a hands-on opportunity to experiment with tone colour, combining traditional inspiration with modern technology. Students can mix and layer sounds, adjusting pitch, tempo, and texture to start composing their own music pieces. The goal here is not perfection, but exploration. Learning how to use digital tools to express musical ideas influenced by global cultures.
Thanks, Sarah and Abby. It's great to see how this lesson includes clear formative assessment strategies. Throughout the listening and discussion phase, we'll use anecdotal records to document each student's engagement and understanding, specifically their ability to recognise different instruments and articulate how those instruments can contribute to the music's overall feel. We'll take notes on how effectively students can describe tone colour and connect what they've heard to their work in GarageBand. This will help us monitor progress and tailor support during the creative phase. We are particularly looking for evidence of students applying their understanding of elements of music like tone colour, texture, and dynamics to their digital compositions. The resources needed for this lesson include iPads with GarageBand installed, access to YouTube, Google Music links, blank line paper for students to record their reflections in instrument list, pencils for note-taking. This lesson aims to spark curiosity, build intercultural understanding, and give students a taste of composing with digital tools, all while embedding key music components in an engaging and hands-on way.
Lesson 2 will flow on from past week. Students will review their notes from the last lesson. We'll take a few minutes to reflect on the instruments and sounds they explored and think about how they can bring those elements into their compositions. They will be encouraged to be intentional about which instruments they choose to include in their pieces. Once they've organised their thoughts, they'll have time to experiment with those sounds on GarageBand and start composing their music.
Great, so it's all about reflecting on what they've learned and then translating that into their own compositions. That sounds like an excellent way to connect those two lessons. Jess, can you share what comes after the composing process?
Sure. Once everyone has finished composing their pieces, we'll have a listening session where each student will play their composition for the class. The exciting part is that the rest of us will try and guess which instruments were used in each composition. This will really help students sharpen their listening skills and gain a deeper understanding of how different instruments produce unique sounds. It will also give everyone a chance to showcase their work and hear how others applied their learning.
That sounds like a fun and engaging activity, Jess. It's a great way to reinforce active listening and deepen their understanding of the cultural instruments they explored. Abby, how are you going to assess the students' work in this lesson?
I'll be using a teacher checklist to assess each student's work. The checklist will focus on 3 key areas. The first one, creativity. How original and imaginative is their composition? The second one, research and application. So how well did they incorporate the cultural instruments and sounds we discussed? The third one, technology use. How effectively Are they using GarageBand to create and manipulate sounds? The goal is to see how well students apply what they've learned, express their understanding of cultural music, and utilize technology to create their compositions.
Awesome. I love how you're assessing both their creativity and their ability to apply their knowledge. Now, let's talk about the resources we'll need for this lesson. Sarah, can you walk us through what's needed?
Sure. For this lesson, students will need iPads with GarageBand installed so they can compose their music, black-lined paper to jot down their ideas, organise their thoughts and keep track of instruments they want to use. Lastly, pencils for note-taking and organising their ideas before jumping into the composing process. It's a simple setup, but it will give students all the tools they need to experiment and create their compositions.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. This is shaping up to be a fantastic lesson where students not only apply what they've learned, but also get the chance to be creative and experiment with technology. I'm sure they'll love the opportunity to compose their own music. All right, everyone, get ready to explore, experiment, and have fun with music.
Welcome to Lesson 1, where we will explore the element of space in dance, focusing on shape and level. In this lesson, we will discuss how dancers use different shapes and levels in the space around them to express meaning and create a dynamic performance. To help us understand, we'll start by watching a video from the syllabus that demonstrates these concepts.
As students watch the video, we'll focus on the difference between locomotive and non-locomotive movements. Locomotive movements involve travelling through space, like walking, jumping, or running, while non-locomotive movements stay in one place, such as bending, twisting, or swaying. After the video, I'll lead a warm-up exercise where we'll practice moving through space in different ways. For example, the teacher might call out instructions like zigzag, jump, twirl, or leap to get us exploring through various movements.
Before we start moving, we'll take a moment to reflect on our cultural identity. Think about your country, traditions, land, nature, and customs. I'll share an example of how I express my cultural identity through movement. I'll demonstrate how I use the space to represent elements of my culture, and this will serve as inspiration for you to think about how your own cultural identity can be reflected in movement.
Once we've reflected on our cultural identities, we'll engage in some safe dance practice, focusing on how movements can reflect space. The teacher will guide you through movement exercises that explore different aspects of space, such as direction, size, and level. These movements will help you understand how to use space effectively in dance.
For assessment in this lesson, we'll use anecdotal records to track each student's participation and understanding of how they explore space in dance.
I can see that the resources that you'll need with this lesson include open space for movement practice and group work, interactive whiteboards for video demonstrations, video of space and dance to highlight examples, music to accompany our warm-up and composition activities, and notebooks for students to take notes and for the teacher to record anecdotal observations.
Moving into Lesson 2, we'll continue composing our dance sequences. You'll have 30 minutes to refine and practice your movement sequences. You'll need to incorporate the space exploration from Lesson 1 and focus on expressing your cultural identity through movement.
In this lesson, students will be working in small groups of 4 to create a 2-minute dance routine. They'll discuss their cultural identity as a group and discuss how to explore this through dance, focusing on the element of space. Their task is to reflect cultural elements through movements that travel through space, using different levels and create shapes that tell a story.
As students compose, they remember the safe dance practices that we discussed earlier. Once they've practiced their routine, they'll come back together as a class for a performance. Each group will perform their 2-minute routine for the class, and after each performance, they'll reflect on their culture expressed and how space was explored in their dance.
After the performances, each student will have the opportunity to provide peer feedback. They will ask their peers how they explored space in their dances and what cultural elements were communicated through their movements. This will help them understand different approaches and deepen their appreciation of space in dance.
At the end of the lesson, we'll have a group reflection to discuss how space was used to represent cultural identity. This helps everyone understand the power of space in storytelling through dance.
For assessment in this lesson, we'll again use anecdotal records to observe students' participation and their understanding of space in dance. Additionally, peer feedback will be a part of the reflective process, helping students gain an insight into their work and others. The resources that will be used in this unit include open space, an interactive whiteboard, music, and notes.
Now, to bring everything together, let's talk about our reflective lesson at the end of the unit. This is where students will have the opportunity to reflect on their entire creative journey and connect everything that they've learned throughout the unit. We'll look back at each art form, dance, drama, music, and visual arts, and see how culture and identity were explored in different ways across each discipline.
Exactly, Janaya. In this final lesson, students will reflect on their art forms they engaged with. They will visit their cultural collages, the symbol they explored in printmaking, the performance they created in drama and music they learned to appreciate. Through a mix of group discussions, individual journaling, and creative projects, students will unpack how each art form allowed them to express their unique identity and connect them with other stories.
Students will start by sharing their reflections in small groups. They'll discuss the different cultural aspects they discovered, what each art form helped them understand about themselves and their peers. For example, how did dance help express identity in a physical way? How did drama deepen their understanding of cultural storytelling? How did visual arts allow them to tell their personal stories with imagery? These conversations will encourage deeper understanding and empathy.
Following this, we'll invite students to create a final project, something that ties all their experiences together. This could be a piece of visual art that incorporates dance or movement, a performance that blends cultural music and storytelling, or even a written piece that reflects on what they have learned about cultural identity. This final project will be a showcase of their learning, highlighting their growth throughout the unit.
And just like that, we're almost done the unit. We'll incorporate self-assessment and peer feedback. Students will reflect on their own work, sharing what they're most proud of and what they think they could improve on. Peer feedback will help build a supportive classroom environment where students can appreciate and celebrate each other's creative journeys.
We will also use this final lesson as an opportunity to assess students on their overall engagement with the unit. We'll look at how well they can explain the cultural significance behind their art, how they've developed their skills across the different art forms, and how they've collaborated with others.
That sounds like a perfect way to wrap up a truly holistic unit. I love how students not only express themselves but also learn to appreciate the diversity around them. It's amazing to see how this unit empowers students to understand and celebrate both their own culture and the cultures of others.
Absolutely, Janaya. It's been such a rewarding journey watching the students grow in their creative expression and cultural understanding. I can't wait to see the final projects they come up with.
Thank you so much, everyone, and a big thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. This has been a wonderful exploration of the Our Voices, Our Story unit. As always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions about the unit or want to share how you're bringing cultural learning and creative expression into your classrooms. Have a wonderful week ahead, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Thank
Janaya.
you, Janaya. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Just in, Sarah, Abby and Jess have expressed that they carefully selected these references to underpin the theoretical and pedagogical foundation of their unit of work. The team drew on core educational theorists like Vygotsky, Freire and Boudreau to highlight the importance of creativity, agency and critical thinking in the primary classroom. References such as Dinham 2011 and Roy et al. 2015 were chosen to guide practical arts-based pedagogy, while Haseman and O'Toole 2017 and Ewing 2003 supported that the integration of drama strategies that promote student engagement and deep learning. Contemporary sources like Henriksen 2016 and McWilliam 2008 informed the design of a learning environment that encourages encourages innovation and risk-taking. The group also included key policy documents such as the New South Wales Creative Arts K-6 Syllabus 2024, the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers, and the New South Wales Quality Teaching Framework to ensure alignment with curriculum expectations and best teaching practices. Collectively, these references support a unit that is creative, inclusive, and grounded in both research and professional standards. Thank you so much for watching our video.